What's up, guys? So in this video, I want to talk about if you have any sort of ceiling that you're running into with your business growth. And this applies obviously to personal, but we're going to focus basically on business today. If you've ever hit like a glass ceiling where you just can't break through either to a certain revenue mark, or maybe you're trying to attain 2x or 3x the amount of clients you have currently, anything that revolves around getting to that next level. Typically, it's a fundamental problem in how you structure the business. So let me break down what I'm talking about. So the most important thing that I've learned in building several businesses is when I first got into running a business, I was broke as a joke. I wanted to just get some, sales made, get some cash in the door. I was very short-term minded. And what that led me to do was stay stuck in a lot of the day-to-day activities. And it put me in a position where when I wanted to grow, oftentimes we look for, well, who can come on the team and help me, right? Who would I trust with my clients, with my business, with my brand, with my reputation, those sorts of things. And as I looked out into the mass of people, I realized very quickly that even if I found the perfect person, I would not be able to replicate what I had been doing because my entire time had been spent doing the actual activity rather than putting a structure in place and allowing myself to use that structure to test what processes actually get me the results, knowing that honestly in business and life and a lot of the things that you want to accomplish, 5 to 10% of the activities you do will give you all of the results that you want. And the key is finding what are those activities, being able to systemize and create a structure around that so that you can very quickly bring someone in, show them that structure, train them up to what those activities are, the way that you need them done, and then you're off and running, and it's just sort of a maintenance phase from there. And so if you've ever found yourself stuck, I would encourage you to look back. Typically, there's a lot of overcomplexity where you just haven't simplified the process enough, or you are using sort of all of your skill sets as like a grab bag and you're applying it to different scenarios based on the opportunity, right? So like if you have, let's say, an offer that you can help people with something and you can work with 3 different types of people, it's like you're changing that process based on the type of people that you're getting versus picking one, building a structure around that, and then really scaling on that opportunity, and then later coming back to build another process for the second type of person, third, and so on. So if you've ever done that, what I would recommend, and I got this from the book Traction, if you've ever read that, it's a phenomenal business book. Changed my life when I read it. I don't know. I know it's very popular these days, but if you haven't read it, I highly suggest reading it. They have a ton of other sort of supporting books, but that's kind of the main one. And in there, they talk very immediately about when you go to start a business, or if you're trying to simplify, the first thing you have to do is put the structure in place, right? Because in business, because we are always testing, revamping, optimizing, making things more attuned for, faster sales or better results for our clients or whatever that might be, the actual activities and like the guts of those activities, like whether it's a sales script, like the words you say, for example, those things are fluid. Those things change because, offers become saturated, clients grow and they have different types of problems. And so all of that is constantly changing. And so what ends up happening is if you're just doing whatever it takes to get those activities to match the current situation, is you don't have anything to come back to as like to put you on solid ground when things go wrong. So the first thing that I always do, whether I'm building a business or whether I'm building, let's say, a structure within a business, let's say a sales structure, is you put the actual structural pieces in place first. What does that mean? That means looking at like, what are the data we're going to track? What are the meetings we're going to attend and what's going to be covered? What are the ways we're going to hold everyone accountable? Who's in charge of what? What are the actual activities that we need to do, not what do those activities entail, if that makes sense. And once you get the structure in place, now you know where your time is going to be spent every single day, how you're going to be held accountable, what activities you actually have to complete. And now you can start to reverse engineer, okay, well, who are we focusing on? What would they need to hear? What are the guts of this sales script? What are the pieces of content they need to see as we nurture them, right? And all of those things are fluid, but if it stops working, you can come right back to the structure and you know that you have a place to actually optimize from, right? You never lose the structure. So if you are in a place where you're hitting a ceiling, I would encourage you to go back and look, do I actually have a structure in place? Do I have processes in place? Do I have things that are consistently happening regardless of the outcomes of the activities I'm doing? Because you can always go back and you can refine those things through testing, data tracking, etc. But you can't necessarily bring yourself from a place of reactivity and try to formally structurize it. So if you have any questions on this, reach out, because I know it might be a little challenging if you're kind of caught up in the whirlwind of day to day. But what I would highly recommend is putting a structure in place, allowing yourself to build out the key things within that structure that allow for the activities to be taken, and then start to build what those activities look like and fill in the guts of that, and then use the data to track, are those activities getting us closer to the goal or further away from it, and making changes from there. Hope that helps. See you guys soon. Cheers.